We're going to walk you through a progressive step here to make sure you can kind of follow along and understand the difference between an overflow and a backup. There's right off the top of your head, overflows are generally covered, backups require endorsements. So you think about it, O is usually good, B, you have to say, but I might need coverage. So start to think about it in that term. Steve, give me a next slide. So when I look at what is my loss, how did it happen, you have to do a little bit of analysis. So if you want to take a look, what is it, a backup or a blockage? Now that's actually a valid question. So a consumer has a property with a plumbing system, and that plumbing system works very much like the diagram in the picture above. If there's a blockage in that system, so any one of those sections, any one of those where you see the tree roots or something, if there's something clogged in there, toilet paper clogged in that line, roots clogged in that line, there could be grease, there could be roots, it could be broken and collapsed. And I went to use the system in the house. So at the toilet, the sink, the shower, the vanity, that water would not be able to leave the house. That water would then be working its way back, but actually not backing up. It's just filling up and eventually overflowing out of a low plumbing device. So if there is a blockage and it can be cleared by a plumber, that is a covered loss as an overflow. It actually doesn't back up, it just can't get out. It's not running backwards, it's just filling that pipe up. So anytime the plumber or the customer says the plumber came out and cleared a blockage, you have an overflow, meaning you have a covered loss. There's a huge difference when we get to what is actually a backup, and there's two specific backups that we deal with, but this is an overflow. So if a plumber or somebody came out to the property, homeowner plunged a toilet, removed a clog, plumber came out and snaked the toilet, all of those create overflows, which are covered. And I'm not getting into exactly what a backup is at the moment, but all of these are overflows, meaning they are covered. Is everybody clear? If there's a blockage that can be cleared by a plumber, if someone was able to plunge a toilet, if someone removed something from a device, meaning, removed it from a toilet, and you were able to get the water to work again, to leave the house, that is a covered loss as an accidental discharge or overflow from a plumbing system, covered under the water peril. So what do we see here? So what is that picture of? And you can chime in if you know what I'm looking at. What am I looking at?
Reminds me of college.
So it does. It's pretty much like a college fraternity bathroom. So we're looking at a toilet overflow or backup. Okay, so for the most part, toilets, when they overflow, look something like that, right? Next slide, Steve. What am I looking at here?
Sump pump failure.
Okay. So a sump pump, its primary purpose is to control water that is not part of the plumbing system. So the sump pump is designed to control water that does not belong to the insured. It's controlling groundwater or drainage water around the property, which is not part of a sealed plumbing system. So this is almost always a what?
Endorsement.
It's almost always, yes, a backup, meaning it's a backup of a sewer or a drain, and a sump pump falls into that category. Now, not the fact that it's a sump pump, the fact that it's controlling water that is not originated by the insured. So if the system is designed to control water that is not originated by the insured's property, you can bet it's going to fall into the endorsement side of coverage. So this is almost always an endorsement required for either, there's two endorsement levels there. There's backup of sewer and drain, and there's sump pump endorsements. They are slightly different, but that's what we're looking for there. So if I'm dealing with a sump pump scenario and I have groundwater that's entering my basement and coming out, anything that stops or blocks that water from leaving the property. So kind of this diagram is a little different than what I actually laid out. So as long as the water leaving my property in a lateral, meaning going to the main sewer line, see where it says sewer main there, bottom left? Once it enters that pipe, it can't come back in. There's a check valve there. So if that main sewer line blocked, it's a huge amount of pressure. When I tell you pressure, it's insane how heavy that water is. And if that check valve fails, just on the other side of where it says sewer main, the water inside of that sewer main would then be forced back up in the home backwards. Well, whose water is in the home? It's not yours. It was everybody else's that was in the sewer main. Again, now I need coverage because it's a backup. The water is running that way from the sewer main. That means it's a backup of sewer and drain requiring an endorsement. So if it came from the main, now I'm going to give you a little clue here. If it came from the sewer main, almost always you will have two losses, meaning at least two. You'll have you and the neighbor. It won't be one house.